Listen, 1, 2, 3. Are we live? How are we doing? Okay, so here we are, out for the quarterfinals. We owe you an apology. Turns out we were wrong, Rhiannon. It wasn't the top two through, it was the top three. But even better, cruise through that we didn't think had quite made it. So here we are, quarterfinals, race one. We have got Roseland. We've got Roseland A in berth 1 in Bedhaven. We've got St Mary's A, berth 2 in Ada. We've got Weymouth A, berth 3 in Manacle Bell. We have Barnstable A, berth 4 in Elowin. We have Falmouth A, berth 5 in Hope. And we have Yelm A, berth 6 in Speedwell. So I think we're going to see race on here between St Mary's A and Falmouth A. Would be my picks.
Well, interestingly enough, Falmouth are either having a nice little crew huddle before they start, or they're trying to bail the boat. So it looks like they've actually got a bit of water on board there. So they're obviously having a bit of a tactical bailout. So I don't think we're going to be getting this race underway just yet, are we? But you'd like to think Falmouth are the favourites in this one, and they'll be gone. But like I say, there's been a bit of interest from St Mary's. What's the progression on this one, just so we get it right?
Let's double check. It is 2 through. Right, Ryan is going to double check for Rhiannon and I, so we get our details right. I'm quite enjoying watching Yelm May there, looking over at Falmouth A, who are bailing, and Yelm there's a little look of smugness on their faces there, to be honest. So yeah, a little bit more swell. Obviously, the tide is beginning to drop now. Yeah, there's a few white horses, Rhiannon's just pointed out, so could begin to get a little bit more lively here. We have 6 quarter-final races to bring you this morning. So, this afternoon now, aren't we? So, yeah, we're very much looking forward to this. But this first heat, St Mary's A, I've had a few messages from the Isles of Scilly. Thank you very much, Andy King, for your updates. Talking about this St Mary's crew. So, yeah, as we're talking about them this morning, they're 6 rowers. All 6 of them have come through the sort of St Mary's junior squads system. They've all won, I think. They've won the county championships, the under-16s, 3 times, like kind of amongst them in different years. But they're pretty proud of this crew, the Stonians, and they're pretty interested to see what they're going to do up this first leg. So yeah, what do you make of this morning's rowing?
It was interesting. Like you say, probably from us thinking it was top 2, we may have made a few misjudgments on whether people are racing hard to get that 3rd place, maybe. But I think all the right people have obviously gone through, and they'll be gunning it on the next one, because if it's top 2 through, it's going to maybe be a bit of tasty rowing now.
Yeah, a bit of a schoolboy error for us there in our commentary. Right, we're having a look over at Falmouth now. They're can we confirm, is the Hope got the water out? They're happier. Adam Anderson there in the middle of the Falmouth boat is a little happier that they got a lighter boat, but they're still bailing out the last few little bits of water there. So just bear with us. Also joining us today on the commentary boat, and thank you very much for joining us, we've got Charlotte. Good morning, Charlotte. Do you want to just sort of introduce yourselves to those rowers who might not know who you are?
Oh, morning, Esther. Yeah, so I'm Charlotte. I rowed and coxed for Mount Spaith since I was about 13, 14 years old, so I'm pretty experienced on the gig rowing circuit. First time doing something like this though, so bear with me. And it's also a different experience for me to be watching. I'm usually in the boat coxing, and at this moment in time, usually feeling quite nervous and planning how I'm going to cox the race ahead of me, looking at the crews I'm lining up against and working out what my best course of action is. So yes, different experience for me today, watching from the boat, but I'm really looking forward to it.
And a bit of a theme, something we've been discussing a lot today, has been a bit of advantage on the outside here, and you guys really unfortunately felt that yesterday in the Mounts Bay boat, did you not?
Yeah, we did. We had heard about it before we went out. We'd chatted to a few people who'd said that there was certainly an advantage to the outside berths. We were drawn berth 1 in our quarter-final, which usually you'd be quite pleased about. The year I won Newquay Championships, we were in berth 1. And we were in a Mevagissey boat, and yesterday we drew berth 1 in a Mevagissey boat, so usually that would be a good omen. This year it wasn't. We were very clearly down on the line. We were looking back at the crews on the outside berths. We knew we were down, so we knew we were at disadvantage. We just went hell for leather, and it unfortunately just wasn't enough.
Yeah, sometimes it's just the rowing gods, isn't it? It's like the luck of the racing, and unfortunately sometimes it goes with you, sometimes it goes against you. It's just one of those things. But what we're watching now is we're really watching these crews sort of moving up towards the start line. We've got on the outside here, I'm relying on my phone for this heat to look at the boats that are coming through, so bear with me. We've got Yelmay on the outside. We saw some spectacular racing from them today. We've got Falmouth A in berth 5 in Hope, so they're just a little bit further away from us. Then we've got Barnstable A in Elowin, berth 4, Weymouth A, Manacle Bell, St Mary's A, so this is their junior crew that's sort of really come through the ranks in the last couple of years. Berth 2 in Ada, and then we've got Roseland A, berth 1 in Bedhaven. So I think out of this heat, Roseland A, Falmouth A, St Mary's A, they all won their heat. So I think there's going to be quite a lot. It might be quite tasty up this first leg. So just talk us through it, Charlotte. You sat on the start line as a cox. What are you thinking about?
What you're thinking about right now is a lot going through your head right now. You're listening to the radio, to instructions, and you're also trying to be as competitive as you can be, so making sure that your crew has the best possible advantage on that start line. So making sure that your oars are clear from the boats alongside you. And at this stage as a coxswain, it's about really owning it and being really confident about holding your place on that line and focusing on getting your crew the priority on that start line. Making sure you're up level with the crews that you know you're going to be competing against.
Yeah, and then Rhiannon, just obviously you were here yesterday as a rower. How does it feel as a rower to be on the start line of the quarterfinals? Like, where's your head at?
Well, it's tricky because especially it depends on where you're going. Like if you're having to race hard in the quarters, obviously you want to go out there and you want to give it everything you've got from the start. But if you're aiming to be in that final and your aim is to conserve energy, it's a real kind of toss up between conserving energy and doing enough to make sure that you do go through. And then like Charlotte was saying, we were actually on the inside as well, and we didn't go as well off the start on any of our races really, apart from the final, as what we'd have liked. So we only really raced the first few minutes in each of the races. We were okay that we were going through, but you're thinking, I've got to go hard, but I don't want to go too hard because I don't want to tire myself out. So it's definitely tricky, but you've also got to just put 100% trust in that cox, because if they're not on the line, I mean, like here, Falmouth, we're a clear length ahead of Elowin and Speedwell, and I'd be like, if I was in the Elowin there, like in the 2 seat, and you're looking across and you can see a boat way in front of you, you're going to be questioning that cox and thinking, where am I? And then your head's not going to be out, so you're not going to be necessarily, paying attention, and then you could be out of stroke.
Yes, so what we're seeing here is we're seeing Falmouth gone clean pair of heels. They are a length up now on those crews on the outside, but I think what we're beginning to see is that St Mary's crew in Ada, we are that berth 2. This is going to be a psychological test for these young lads, because they're down and they've had a cracking season on the Isles of Scilly, racing on their domestic scene, and they won't necessarily be used to crews such as the crew from Charlestown in Bedhaven. Oh, Charlestown, I was wrong. So there's actually 4 crews that won their heat here, because we've got Charlestown A, we've got... Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong race. That is what's going on here. This is the problem with it being on my phone. Please, someone print it off for me. So, on the outside, we've got Bedhaven. That's the Roseland A crew, really going toe-to-toe with that Salonian crew. They've just about pulled out half a boat length there, the Salonians, but Falmouth are off here. Rhiannon?
Yeah, I mean, Falmouth are gone. They look like they're... actually work for this second place spot, so they're not going to be able to take their foot off the gas until they're well clear. And at the moment,
in the 2 seat of the Weymouth boat, and see May in
Put it on your knee.
And for this first mark.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you've got Rosen, and what Rosen are trying to do here is they're desperately trying to keep that inside line to the mark, because I'm just... We believe it's top 2 going through, but again, don't trust us. We are definitely not the oracle. So here we go, Falmouth coming up to the umpire boat. They're nicely in the lead now. They're quite comfortably there. So I might just do a little rate check on Falmouth and see what they're doing. But it looks very relaxed at the moment. So yeah, just checking it. And yeah, 35 for Falmouth, which is pretty much actually what we saw Carradine A crew sort of coming up here. But look at this tussle that we've got going on now between Manacle Bell and Speedwell. It really is quite close. So it's Manacle Bell, we have got Weymouth A, and then we've got Budehaven, that is Roseland A, and then Speedwell we have got Yelm A. So between Yelm, Weymouth and Roseland is really everything to play for here up to this second mark. They're really pushing on now. Who do you think's got the boat speed here, Charlotte?
I'm really liking how Manacle Bell are holding their ground in that middle place. Bedhaven look like they're coming back. They're slowing down slightly, but they are going to get the mark for this over Manacle Bell and Speedwell. I imagine this is how it will be. It will now be Bedhaven, Manacle Bell, Speedwell going around the mark. Although Speedwell are having a go, they're just not going to get there in time now.
Yeah, so this is so often. There we go. We've got a little bit of support going from the gig rower boat there for St Mary's from Jay. But yeah, Rosen doing a great job here. They're just going stern to bow now with Manacle Bell, the Weymouth crew. The Weymouth crew seem to have maybe accepted here that they're not going to have the water over Bedhaven. So what they're doing is their cocks, and I can already see actually that the cocks in Manacle Bell are already putting a little bit of rudder on. What they're beginning to think here is just making sure they get cleanly around this mark, and that seems to be their priority. You can see the cocks and the Roseland boat just having a little look round. We're seeing the Solonian lads. That wasn't maybe the tightest turn. Solonians will they might want to have a little look at that. They're doing, I'll tell you what they're doing. The boys are doing a really powerful job of pulling that St Mary's boat around. I think if I was them, I would have wanted to have been a little bit tighter to that buoy as I turned around, so you haven't got kind of like going out to sea. You come over it. Oh, we can just see Speedwell. They're going for the inside line. They're going for the bow toss. They're really holding it up. They're going to try and do everything they can. So in Speedwell there, we have got Yelm A that have really pushed up. Then Elowin, we've got the Barnstable crew here at the back. So Charlotte, are you rowing in the bow these days?
I row wherever I get put these days. I was in Balfour-Scilly. Yeah, I'm nomadic. I was in Balfour-Scilly and I was in the 5 seat yesterday. I do a bit of 2. I don't row anywhere apart from 3 and 4, basically. Yeah.
So it's been a bit of a sort of discussion about Rhiannon and I. Like, I feel like in the time that I've been rowing, like, tossing the oar has become a little bit of it's becoming it's less used skill, is it not?
I think it's becoming a bit of a dying art, but as someone who has done a lot of bow rowing, I love it. It's my favourite thing. I love rowing bow anyway, and I absolutely love it. And I was nearly in one for Newquay this year, and I missed out, and I was so disappointed. I did one session where I practised tossing, and then I was moved down to 5.
So was it your practice tossing which was the issue there? I don't know. Yeah, I know. But, bow rowers till we die, isn't it, Charlotte?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it up there. I love the freedom up there. I love not being able to hear the cocks and
the broom cupboard, I refer to it as.
Having to self-motivate, which I'm pretty good at anyway. But yeah, going back to the tossing, I think it is underused, but at the same time, you've got to have a coxswain who is able to utilise it correctly. I think you can toss and you can do it. It can be a major fail. The crew that was in Speedwell a second ago, they did it brilliantly because the Weymouth cocks didn't take advantage of the water she'd been given over them. So the cocks of the Speedwell crew did exactly the right thing and cut in tight.
So we're just looking back. We are just motoring along a little bit. We're having a good look here at the Barnstable crew of Elowin. So there, you can see here again. This is classic second leg of Newquay conditions here. They're sort of it's giving them some difficulty as we're heading over here. But what we're beginning to move over, so moving over just to see what's happening here. So Manacle Bell, they've dropped down a little bit. That's Weymouth A. They will be disappointed because they were right up there. But Speedwell, they've really maximised what they achieved around there. So we've got Yell May. They're doing a great job of going up on the inside. Then we've got Rosenday and Bedhaven. They're still slightly up, but the advantage that Speedwell have, and this is what a bit of a theme of the coxing here today, is if you get that inside line on that first mark, what that does then is that puts you in prime position for the second leg, does it not?
Absolutely. It's something that we talk about a lot at Mount Spey, that getting that first mark, if you can get that advantage on that first mark, what it gives you, even if you can still come out behind, it gives you that inside line. If you can do a nice tight turn and the crew ahead of you has gone wide, and getting that inside line on the second leg is all the motivation a crew needs to say, right, this is possible, we can do this.
And that's exactly what we saw from Carradine yesterday, was it not? So they did a bit of absolute textbook. So yeah, we can see Ada there on the outside. That is the crew of St Mary's A. So they're coming around in second position, we believe. And we've got Falmouth. Yeah, Falmouth they are very comfortably ahead there. Going round this second mark. So yeah, we just had the Coast Guard boat going over us. Oh my God, it's getting a bit wild. I mean, the core strength required to commentate on the gig rower boat isn't insignificant. So Rhiannon, what do you make there of Falmouth?
So Falmouth look like they are streets ahead. I mean, the way that we're going, I can't see them very well. They're just going around the first mark, the second mark now, and yeah, they're miles ahead of the crew in front, so they're again just going to be doing whatever they need to do just to stay in front and cruise on in to save their energy for the rest of the weekend. But I haven't even seen the second boat go around yet. Oh, they're still coming. They're coming up to the mark now, and it looks a little bit tighter between second and third, so they're going to want to. That's St Mary's crew. No, they're pretty clear, but they're not going to want to rest on their laurels down here, because they need to get this second position to make sure that they go through to the semi-finals, aren't they? So, I mean, look at them, they're absolutely miles in front, aren't they, Charlotte?
Yeah, Falmouth were looking strong from the very first few strokes, to be honest. They exploded off the start and they had a length clear, pretty water, and they've just extended since then, as we expect they would, and they're still looking really tidy and comfortable.
Yeah, just to confirm, we've had it confirmed by Ryan now. It is definitely top two. So that's so we're on. So I just want to take you through the runners and riders of our second race here, because they have gone off. We're going to go and catch up with them in a second. So we have Dart A drew the short straw, berth 1 in Zorn. That's not a comment on Zorn, I'd like to stress. Lovely boat, Flushing and Milet. Then we've got berth 2. We've got Falmouth C in Troy. Berth 3, we've got Helford A in Spy. Berth 4, we've got Appledore A in Grace. Berth 5, we've got Foy A in the Emma Louise. And then berth 6, we've got Coteal Key A in Amazon. So I think Appledore would be my call of this. I think Foy as well, we can expect them to be up there. Helford A, like I said to you earlier on, I think they're a crew that unfortunately were quite badly affected by the reschedule. So they're 4th World Pilot Gig Championships, brilliant result. They're not likely to compete here. So Falmouth C are in Troy, so they look like they're going well. That's what what can you see at the moment, Rhiannon?
So through a very small opening in the front of the boat, I can see that there's 2 boats up at the front. There was one of the varnish boats, not the Zorn, because I can see them at the back, but I can see the Emma Louise, is it? Foyer, and and then I could also see the Troy. My vision is totally blocked now, so I can't see it anymore. Troy has got water over both of those boats. So Troy was Falmouth C, is that right? Yeah, which is interesting, because Grace is that Appledore? So I would expect Appledore A. They had quite a cruise in the first round. They were way in front, so I would expect them to be the front runners of this one. It's an interesting angle. We're kind of coming up from behind, so we can't actually see who's got the water or anything from here. But I think Esther can see a little bit better than me.
Yeah, I can definitely see we've definitely got a Troy there, inside line. They're going to want to keep that to keep the water. And then they're really having quite the fight there with Foy A, who are in Emma Louise. We can also see going well behind them, we've got Spy. They're cracking on. They're having a good race with Amazon. So Spy is Helford A, and then Amazon is Cotil Key A. They had a great row this morning. So Grace has water over Emma Louise with her. So it's Grace over Emma Louise at the moment, okay? And it's Emma Louise over Troy. So that's what we think coming up to this mark. But it is very, very tight between these three crews. Okay, so here we go. We're bringing our Osmos, our cameras onto the other side to see them round. This is going to be a very tight mark. I'm desperately trying to get some sights on it. So we've got Grace coming round. Troy are on the inside. We've got oars up all over the place. Yeah, okay, so we've got, here we go, push away. Great coxing there, wow, because that was quite a collision. So the winners there were Grace, Appledore A managed to come out. On the outside, we've got Foy A in in Emma Louise. And then Troy, that is the Falmouth Sea crew. I think they were the crew that maybe lost out in that boys' run. What did you make of that, Rhiannon?
Well, I didn't see an awful lot, but because the boat was turning. But it's certainly a little bit of a tasty run up this second leg, isn't it? I mean, Appledore look pretty in control, don't they? They're in the Grace there. But Emma Louise, Jolie's there in second place. She's trying to make a little attack on the inside, so she's going to be calling for those boys to row up. And there is quite a lot of experience in that boat, so they're going to know exactly what they need to do to get up. So they are literally going to be trying to row up the inside of this boat. See the Appledore Cox looking back over his shoulder. He's got, they've got to be in that top position or top two to go through, but there isn't a lot between first and third, so they can't sit back and just chill out at this point. He's got to see what he's doing. So Emma Louise straight rate's 33, so not particularly fast for a men's crew. They do look quite low, and Grace, we've just clocked at 40, so they do look a bit shorter than the Emma Louise for sure. But again, and then Troy is coming up on the outside, so they're going to have to really try and maintain their boat speed and make a push. Grace do seem to be holding off Emma Louise at the moment. The Cox keeps looking back over his shoulder. But the Emma Louise is coming up every now and again, just nudging that bow up towards the rudder. So I just don't think they're quite going to have enough, but it is a long leg.
Jolie did such a great job there. She really put her crew in the right place there. They just weren't quite powerful enough to make the most of the position that she was trying to go for. What are you making of this, Charlotte?
Yeah, so I agree with you. Yeah, I think the Foy crew there with Jolie Coxon did a fantastic effort out of the turn. They really exploded out. They knew the position they were in and how to make the advantage of it. I think they just slightly ran out of gas, but it looks like they've now caught onto the rudder of the Appledore crew in Grace. The Appledore crew in Grace, yes, they are in the lead, but when you've got two gigs behind you who are racing for qualification and they are that close to you, you can never relax, even though you are lead boat. So that's what Appledore will be thinking about now.
You are totally right to bring that to a point. That's absolutely fair enough. And in a way, like, Appledore will be slightly cursing this because they'll have eyes on a final here. They'll be wanting to think about that qualification, and they won't be wanting to expend too much energy. However, at the same time, you are right, with two crews fighting behind you, you can't always help that. So yeah, as we were going into this, so we've got Grace, Appledore A in the lead. Then we have got Foy A, Emma Louise. They are in second currently. Then we have Falmouth Sea in the slightly heartbreaking position of being third here in Troy. Then we're looking back and we're seeing Spy. Spy is the Helford A crew. So we would expect a bit more of them considering their World Pilot Gig Championships position. But like I say, they have struggled because of the rescheduling. Then we've got Amazon, that's Cotil Key A, and then we can see Zorn, Dart A. Unfortunately, they're bringing up the rear here, and they won't be progressing any further in the competition. Falmouth, to me, just look like they've gone a little bit raggedy. Those shoulders aren't perhaps getting into the bow in the way that they would want, I would say.
Yeah, they do look a bit tired, look like they're struggling a little bit. It's definitely chopped off. It's definitely chopped up a little bit from our last round. I mean, we are rolling around all over the place trying not to fall over. So it must be quite tricky rowing out there. And what you've got to do is you've got to keep an eye on that blade all the time, like as well as just concentrating on putting the power down. You've got to make sure, you know, you don't catch that oar on the way back, so you don't want to be feathering too flat. You might want to think about getting that blade out a little bit earlier, keeping those shoulders in the bow, but getting the blade out, just adapting your style ever so slightly. And it does look like it's a little bit tricky conditions out there, but Appledore have gone up and around the mark now, and Emma Louise is in second, but it'll be interesting to see whether they give them a little attack down this last leg. Troy aren't going to want to give up as well, and we'll see. I think that's Adele Coxon. She's going to want to try and make that attack and try and get them through.
It's interesting to see Adele's body language there. I mean, she is gripping onto that left-hand rope. She's really trying to get the inside line there. And again, this is what you can see the Coxes and the crews doing here. I can really hear Jolie calling it for her crew, but they're asking for that second start. So what happens in gig rowing is as you go round the buoy, you will slow down. The idea is to keep as much pace as you can. But whatever you do, you're putting rudder on, you are going to slow down. You're changing direction. So what the Coxes call for as they're coming out of a turn is what they refer to as the second start. So crews will work on this. They will think about what works best for them, but they will look to second start. They're looking basically to pick the boat speed up, because what they're trying to do, especially on this leg, is, I mean, it's not classic Newquay conditions. We haven't got the big rolling sea, but you will be looking to pick up a little bit of swell. Always much missed. Charlotte, do you remember Julia Phillips catching that wave? I think we were both in that final, were we not?
Yeah, I was in that race as well. What an epic final that was on the last leg, with Charlestown catching that wave. It was absolutely incredible, and full credit to their coxswain at the time for being able to hold on to that wave to get them that win. And that's something you very much need to think about at Newquay. We occasionally get the conditions in Mounts Bay where we can practice surfing. And when we do have the opportunity, we do, because we know and we've seen that places can be won and lost on this last leg with the ability to surf well.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it in commentary yesterday, but I was lucky enough to be in first that year, and we were a good sort of like 5 or 6 lengths ahead. So we stopped, we put our oars in the air, and we just turned round to watch Charlestown just honestly flying at us down this wave. There was a slight moment of terror when we thought, are they going to hit us? No, they're not going to hit us. They're going past us. And it was just the utter joy on Julia's face as she went past us. And then the slight terror when they thought they were going to hit the rocks at the other end. They had to be saved by the lifeboat that day. But yeah, good times. And yeah, Julia, one of the characters from our sport, which is a fabulous person, and she is much missed. So yeah, we are dropped off the pace a little bit. So yeah, we have oh sorry, lost the sheet. Well, I am struggling with this, I do apologise. So yeah, we've got going through Appledore A. We thought they were going to be our quality of this race, and they have gone through. They're going to Foy A are going to go through too, and then Falmouth C are going to go through as well. Maybe Fergus's day on the boat commentating with me yesterday, maybe his batteries are a little bit low, but I'm sure they'll be pleased with that. So yeah, they've come through, they'll be happy with that. Oh yeah, sorry, the Falmouth B crew, crikey. So we're just watching the last of the crews come through. So we're watching Spy here, so Helford A. They're going to be pleased to get through the quarterfinals, seeing as they're very much sort of put together crew in the build up to this event. And then we've got Amazon in the background. So Amazon, KTL Key A, they had a brilliant row this morning. Maybe just took a little bit out of them. And then we've got coming in at the back, we have got Dart A rowing the Zorn. So brilliantly done. Oh, crikey, that the bow rower there in Helford is really quite wet, which I think, and the 5 rower as well, which is a bit of a testament, I think, to quite how choppy it's getting out there actually for the crews. But we're so this is the second heat in. We've got 6 heats this afternoon in the quarterfinals. So we're a third of the way through this now, and we're just going to wait for race two to get underway. We can see the crews are coming out. They're just bobbing around. There we go. Well done, Colteal Key. They had a brilliant row this morning. I think they've really represented. They've done a fabulous job here. And yeah, there we go. We've just got the Dart A crew coming in here as well. Lovely rowing. It's so stylish. They're like pretty relaxed. There's one for the crowd. And there's people up on the fly cellars giving them a big clap, giving them a big cheer. It's lovely to see. So thanks for following it. We'll have a little break now and we'll be back out with heat number 3. So it's a bit of a benefit then. Then we've got Foy B. We saw a fantastic row this morning from them in Elowen. Then we've got Brixham A in Ada, we've got Ilfracombe A in Bedhaven, then we've got Padstow A in Speedwell, and we have got Newquay B in Hope. So the crews that are really impressing at the moment, Padstow A in Speedwell, they're doing a great job to come up from that berth 2, and they're bringing with them Bedhaven, which is Ilfracombe A. At the moment, Lou aren't really making maybe the impact that we would expect to see from Lou A, but to me, they look pretty put together. Padstow again, we saw them do this morning actually. They absolutely dominate at the beginning. Rhiannon.
Yeah, I mean they've gone from those inside berth. I don't know if they were 1 or 2, but they've certainly done well from that inside berth, and yeah, they do seem to be going. And from here, it looks like they're up. I mean, obviously the drone's probably got a better angle. Lou are kind of pulling back up now, but Padstow is certainly giving it a good run. 37 strokes a minute, so let's see if they can keep that one up. I mean, they're looking quite in control. They're rowing they're getting those oars out in front of them. They're not twisting. They are really punching that stroke rate. They've got Ilfracombe inside them as well, or the other side of them. Yeah, so Lou are at 36. Yeah, and you can see them kind of powering away. This looks like it could be quite an interesting top 2, because they've really got to work. If there's 3 of them in the mix, they've really going to all want to get through in those top 2 positions. I mean, Foyer here in Elowen, they're looking very tidy. They're looking quite a considerably slower stroke rate, I think, than these guys up in the top, but they are making it look good. And then we've got Ada behind. Is that Brixham? I can see from their tops. And then yeah, how many? 33. Yeah, so they are a lot slower than those other ones. But yeah.
So we haven't got the clearest view of Padstow. It might again be that the drone has the best shot here. But I think the quite interesting thing is Padstow are absolutely throwing the kitchen sink at this. I think they know that the writing is probably on the wall and we're going to see Lou move away from them. But they're using Lou just to guide them up this first leg, and they're doing an absolutely cracking job. It's hard for us to sort of really criticise their rowing from this perspective, but it's looking a little bit ragged. If I was that Cox in that Padstow boat right now, I would just be calling for calm, just considered. Ilfracombe are actually doing a great job of just hanging on to this. They look much more composed, and we've got a real sort of contrast of sort of techniques here, and I wonder if ultimately Padstow might burn out and might regret this early leg, but they're certainly putting it in there. And I mean, we're not that far off that umpire boat. We would have expected Lou really to have made more move. Charlotte, what are you making of this first stretch up the first leg?
Yeah, well, I mean, clearly the field has split into 2 already, and we're going to be having 3 crews here in contention for these 2 places. We've got Lou on the outside, and we've got Ilfracombe sort of sandwiched in the middle. And at the moment, Ilfracombe will be looking to get their bow or keep their bow past the 5 rower of Lou in order to get the advantage on the mark. Padstow just need to hold this now to retain the advantage. So as things stand, the boats will be going round in order of Padstow, then Ilfracombe, and then Lou. If I was Dave coxing Ilfracombe and Nathaniel coxing Lou, I will be thinking now about what my plan of action is going to be to get round this mark. I think it's Peter Fisher coxing Padstow from here, and he'll just be looking to get round nice and clean and keep his advantage. It's the coxswains on the outside that are going to start making their plans.
What we can really see here is Nathaniel's body language is saying everything now. There's a few nervous glances just going over to his left now, and he's really put it down to his crew. It's quite clear. You can see the body language in that Lou boat. They have been told to deliver and to deliver now, and I'm going to be interested to hear what the umpire says as they go around. The angle that we've got on them, we're a bit behind, so it's hard for us to judge, but it really does look like Padstow and Peter Fisher are going to have the water here. Can't quite. Did either of you manage to catch what the umpire said then? I didn't. We didn't hear it clearly off the gig row boat. So we're really watching these crews going in now, and this is the moment. This is Nathaniel, very experienced rower, maybe less experienced than the cox's seat. Certainly been around a fair few years, but it's going to be interesting to see how he handles the pressure of going around this mark. Ilfracombe being slightly squeezed out. The Ilfracombe cox has made the decision, and I think it's a good good one really to tuck in behind the Padstow boat there and follow their line. Lou, Nathaniel is staying quite close to that Padstow boat. You've seen the bow rower of Ilfracombe toss over there. Nathaniel's having to go wide to make sure that he doesn't impede them. Okay, right, Nathaniel can make the most of this now because Ilfracombe have gone in there, but they have impeded the Padstow boat. But to be fair, they've maintained boat speed. The bow rower is now tossing over. It's going to be interesting to see here what Lou do, because they're really going to have to go up the outside here. And this is the first time really that we've seen a turnover of the form book. I was expecting Lou to do much like we saw from Falmouth this morning and show these crews a clean pair of heels, but all credit to Ilfracombe, that's not what they've done. Foy, we saw them row an absolutely spectacular first heat this morning. They pushed through to come second in their heat this morning, and we're seeing again some really good rowing from that Foy crew. Foy B crew containing a number of juniors as well, so they're doing a great job there of bringing on the other members of their squad. We've also got Brixham A here in Ada, and we've also got Hope, which is Newquay B. They're having quite a great tussle between them, but again, I can't quite see. To my eyes, I think Lou are still third at the moment to Padstow and Ilfracombe. They're still stuck on that outside berth. Padstow, to their complete credit, I think we've been talking a lot, Charlotte and Rhiannon, about the fact that berth 1 is a disadvantage, but Padstow absolutely made that work, did they not?
Yeah, Padstow absolutely smashed it, and I know that they've actually done a few pretty good regattas throughout the regatta season as well. So they're doing really well, and I think they'll be really pleased to be up here. I reckon they probably saw that they were against Lou and Ilfracombe maybe on the draw, and they were probably thinking, well, I'm going to have a bit of a race on here to try and get through, but they seem to have been dominating this race. So fair play to Padstow, and Fisher's going to be trying to get them to hold their heads and keep their cool, and he's certainly going to be enjoying being up there and out in front. We can just about see through the window. We're following this race down now, and it does look like they're still in front. But I think the second two will be really kind of trying to battle it out. Ilfracombe went awfully tight as well to Padstow, so I'll be interested to see whether or not they did impede them, because it did look like they had a bit of a clash up there, didn't it?
Yeah, and like we were saying last night, right, you guys might have to help me with the rules here a little bit, because I don't think I am an expert on this in any way, shape or form. So Charlotte, can you explain to me, what does it mean to impede? What can you get away with basically on that mark? What is impeding and what is not impeding on the mark?
Okay, so from a coxswain's perspective, when you come round that turn, you're trying to avoid hitting any boats, because actually if you hit anyone, you're going to slow yourself down and screw yourself over. You are actually allowed to, and the word is place, you're allowed to place your bow between the pins of the 5-oar and the stern of the boat. I think interpretation of place is down to the individual cox and the rowers on the receiving end of that. But if that placement turns into a T-bone, then that should be a disqualification. It's certainly breaking the rules. And if that placement turns into if the 5-rower can't row and the bow slips up the side of the boat past those 5 pins, you're certainly coming into trouble as a coxswain.
It's hard for us to see exactly what's going on from the angle here, but I think we could have our first upset here. It does look like as they come up to this second mark, but it is hard for us to judge. We definitely see what we had stolen the inside there. We've got Ilfracombe, who viewed David in the second position. Bedhaven at the moment, with Manacle Bell, the Lou crew out in third, out to the side. We're watching Newquay B here having an absolute tussle with, I think, Brixham. Sorry, I can't quite see the crew list at the moment, but I'm just focusing my attention on what's going on in the front of this race. And yeah, we're seeing Lou turn third. That is the upset to the form book here. Lou are on the outside again, so we've got Padstow on the inside. Now, you'll remember they came out of berth 1, which is the berth that we've very much been thinking of as a disadvantage this weekend. But Padstow just absolutely showing how that that little thing we've noticed that is maybe psychological, and actually to be pushing against the world champions in the way that they are at the moment is quite the achievement. So we're following them around the front line. We're just watching Foy B crew going around the second buoy here. They're a little bit in that sort of no man's land position. So now we're watching Ilfracombe are really taking it to Padstow. And I think the thing is with Padstow and Ilfracombe, what they must be thinking is they must be thinking, how the hell are we keeping Lou B behind us? Lou A. They must really be knowing that this is sort of like this is coming down to them, and they're going to be wanting to maintain the pressure. It's going to be a hard psychological battle for them here, because do they keep the effort on and fight against each other to keep Lou at bay? For a moment there, I really saw the Ilfracombe boat pick up quite a lot of wave, and they were So I mean, we're going to have to. I can't really take my eyes off this one, to be honest. Lou look like they're moving up now. I mean, we're moving back because we're going to go and have a look at what Heat 4 is up to. So we're moving away from them. But at the moment, Padstow, what a cracking row from Padstow. And well done, Pete Fisher. Holding off Ilfracombe, holding off Lou A. That is a bit of a shock to the form book, is it not?
Yeah, it is. I think we would have expected Lou to get through, but I don't think it is their, it's not their World Championship winning crew. But I think they'll still be happy that they're giving it a bit of a race on. So this race looks quite tight actually from where we're looking. I mean, they've got someone on the outside there, but the way the sun's glinting, the way the sun's kind of shining here, you can't actually necessarily see the boats. You've got Spy here on the inside, and then you've got, is it Manacle Bell there as well? No, because then Manacle Bell isn't even in that race. There you go.
We'll just take you through the runners and riders. So we had Teen A, berth 1 in Grace. We had Carradon B, berth 2 in Spy. We then had Catwater 3, berth 3 in Troy. Then we had Bristol A, berth 4 in Emma Louise. Bude A, berth 5 in Amazon. Cadgwith A, berth 6 in Zorn. So who do we think...
Yeah, Cadgwith there in Zorn, so it did look yellow, but it's not actually, it's varnished. So Cadgwith looked to be out and clear here. They've been pretty strong crew for a few years. They're quite a young crew, I believe, and they did actually get in the final a few years ago, I believe. And it does actually look like here we've got a bit of a race on actually between the inside boat here, which is Grace, I think, and Spy. So Grace have actually got the water here as well, but that's Teen, and we did see them this morning. They did actually cruise that first race. Do you remember? They looked very controlled. So they're giving Carradon B a bit of a run for their money here. And I mean, Carradon B, they're going to have to go if they want this mark, and they do have to get top 2 if they want to get through. So they really want a spot in this semi. So they're going to be having to push it and be as controlled as they possibly can, of course. But they're really going to have to push here because Grace have got that mark. But what we do know is we've got Nay Coxon in the Spy. So if you want anyone Coxon your boat, it's probably her if there's a bit of a interesting turn to be turned. They're neck and neck, but Grace do have the water at the moment, whereas Zorn are up and gone. They are 2 clear boat lengths up, so they're going to be hopefully sitting pretty and just doing whatever they need to do. Grace are having a good old push up to this first mark.
Yeah, I think we can see that. I mean, you said that the team this morning were absolutely superb, and I think we can really see that. I think, if anything, they're moving on Carradon B at the moment. So they're really sort of making the most. I can't see Naomi sort of moving through at the moment. Just bear with us. We're bringing the drone into the boat, so it's a little bit of a live situation. Way Jay for the catch. She's done it. Sorry, this is part of the sport of gig rowers, catching the drone. So but look, we can see Carradon B going again now. They know that if they want this mark, they need to put the work in. But maybe they've just left it a little bit too late. Do you think, Rhiannon?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, we can see that we're going to be coming up to the umpire boat, but it's going to be a close call. They're going to have to work if they really want to get this mark. From our angle, it definitely looks like Grace have got that mark, but they're all going to be pushing. There's a lot of experience in that boat over the Spy, so they're going to be wanting to hold their heads and then know that they've got to then do a row around, aren't they?
I'm just looking at Ashley's body language there as well. he's committed. He's committed, is what I would say. Yeah. So we're watching Cadgwith going round this first buoy. They've got a good couple of lengths, but it has been called for grace. So Teen are going to get the water over Carradon B. Then we've got Amazon. That is the crew of Bude A, and they are being closely followed by Troy, who are Catwater A, and on the outside there we've got Emma Louise, which is Bristol A. So Cadgwith round. They're looking to show those clean set of heels. We've got Teen that's taking a slightly holding that, they're keeping that boat length, and there we go. There we see the Teen rower up and in. I tell you what, good tossing from that that bow rower of Teen, because what they managed to do is they managed to get it up and over in one, which was always, when I was a bow rower, what I was aiming for, and see what just having that inside line have done for Teen. You know, Carradon now, I mean, look, you can see, I think we're going to call that the Carradon line now. We saw Jolie doing it with the Foy crew as well, but they're just looking to go up the inside. They're looking to take that crew there. Charlotte, can I just pass over to you if that's all right? What are you making of this Teen crew?
Yeah, Teen have been a great men's crew the last couple of years, and I actually feel like they've missed out on a few opportunities to progress further at Newquay Championships. We had a really close at Mounts Bay. We had a really close race with them a couple of years ago. I actually know the 5 rower Sam Gilman. He used to row for Mounts Bay. Fantastic rower and fantastic person, and he'll be really egging his crew on. But they're looking really nice. They're looking in control. They know there'll be a big pressure from Carradon. You know, we know the quality of any Carradon crew that takes to the water, and they'll be fully aware of that. Even though they're in this second place, they'll be aware of the pressure that Carradon are prepared to put on to get the qualification.
And look at Carradon go. I just clocked them 36 strokes per minute, so they're totally committed up this second leg. And I think they are gaining on Grace. Grace is probably doing enough to hold them at bay at the moment, but Carradon will know that if they want to get into that semi-final this afternoon, if they do want to match the achievements of their women's B team, then now is really the moment to go. And I think this is quite an open competition. We saw that with Lou going out in the previous round. The rescheduling of this event has made that the form book's been a bit upended in gig rowing, and there's an opportunity here for perhaps some rowers. They're having a real tussle with Catwater at the moment, and then on the far side I think we've got, is it the Bristol crew there in the Emma Louise? Sorry, we're being chucked around so much on the boat at the moment, I'm not liking to look at my phone and all the stuff yet. It's Bristol A that we've got in the Emma Louise, so they're a little bit out of touch, but Bude and Catwater are absolutely making this count on this second leg. And I think we're seeing Catwater, I think we're seeing Troy moving up on Amazon. It's pretty similar stroke rates. I can hear very clearly the coxswain from Bude really calling on her crew. She's making it quite clear what she wants them to do. She wants them to hold off Troy, because they do not want Troy to have the water here. So we're just coming round, we'll try and have a little spy of what's going on at the front of this race. So yeah, as we said, Cadgwith, they're up, but it looks like Carradon have done the work here. I think they're gonna take this mark. So Carradon, that all important second position, Naomi is really pushing them on up this second leg. They need to get that inside line, and they are just maybe 20 big strokes, big breaths, big power movements away from getting that line. Now, this is the sort of water where your 1 and your 2 row really makes the difference, because like Fergus said yesterday, this is a percentage game. When you're bouncing around as much as you are in these conditions, your 1 and 2 rowers, they're struggling just to get the purchase in the water, just to find the catch. So just need to find it every time. We're just seeing Carradon, they're just dropping down. Teen have really rallied there. They saw the threat, they saw the danger, and they've moved. So we have out front, uncontested and looking pretty untroubled, we have the Cadgwith crew. Then we have Teen in Grace coming round second. Then we have Carradon B in Spy coming round third. And then we've got this epic battle that's going on between Bude and Catwater here for the fourth and the fifth positions in this heat. So we're just watching, as we thought, we've got Cadgwith going round. Okay, Zorn going round, untroubled, unbothered. Yeah. But look, we've got Yeah, we've got Grace, so Teens going round, and then we've got Spy. But the real battle here, and Charlotte, I'm just going to pass you back over to comment on this, is between Amazon and Troy.
Yeah, I've actually been watching this race a bit more closely than the race up front, actually, because Catwater have had an absolutely blinding second leg in Troy. Bude came out ahead of them, a length ahead of them, and Catwater and Troy have just absolutely worked so hard to storm through them. I'm not sure, they aren't in a position to qualify for the next round. However, they are rowing this with pride and treating this like their own race. I think it's been absolutely fantastic to watch. And now look, Troy have come out ahead, Amazon have had to row round, and hopefully, you know, Catwater really do deserve to keep the lead over Bude now. They're rowing out strong. So let's move up to the race that we're really looking at here between Teignmouth and Carridon C Crew. Carridon B Crew in Spy. So Teignmouth in Grace, Carridon B in Spy. Carridon B have been pressurising Teignmouth all the way round this race, and now they've just latched onto the rudder. And once you do that as a crew, you know that there's hope that you might just be able to squeeze through. Naomi will be trying to work her magic in that coxswain seat to drive that crew on. There's a lot of experience in that crew, and many of those rowers will have been here before and will not give up until they have done their very best to catch on to Teignmouth there in second place.
It's been a bit, I mean, that teen crew must just want Carridon to go away right now, because it feels like every now and again you think, okay, Teignmouth, Teen have got this, they're moving clear, and then Carridon come back, and then Carridon tend to get on their stern, then Teen sort of rally, they think about it, they do another push, and they manage to distance them again. So it's a real cat and mouse game as we're going down this second leg. But I think Carridon will have a lot to do if they're going to get into the semi-finals right now, because Naomi's taking a little bit of a different line now. She's going a little bit inside to see if that's going to give them an advantage. She's really thinking this through. But well done to Cadworth, because they did a really good job. They went off hard, went off early, and they very much controlled the front of this race. And they've controlled the energy that they have had to use for this, because they will now be thinking about the semi-finals and how they will prepare. So, because we are seeing things go through quite a lot quicker. Hopefully not as quickly as you went through yesterday, Rhiannon, from semi to final.
No, that was definitely a very quick turnaround. I mean, yesterday after the semis, they literally said, get out there, get the final drawn, and get straight back out again for a race against tide, race against time with the light. So looks like we're just finishing off here, and that was Cadworth through, followed by Teignmouth, followed by Carridon. Unfortunately, that third leg is obviously shorter, so if you're trying to make an attack, you've got less opportunity to do so. So you've really got to work down this last leg. Then Catwater have come up, and like Charlotte said, they had such a blinding second leg. They've actually pulled out lengths out of that Bude crew, I think it is, and they're cruising in. They actually look really tidy as well, so well done Catwater. That was a really great row. Then we've got Bude coming in, and then Bristol, I believe, in sixth place. So they're just, that Amazon crew looks a little bit tired now, so they're gonna row it in. But they put up a really good fight. They must have been working really hard on that second leg. Then we've got Bristol coming in sixth place. They're just going to want to row it in now. We've just got to go just to the fly sellers. They're getting a lovely round of applause. Looks like they've got a little fan club up there on the wall. So yeah, they're getting a massive cheer.
Yeah, brilliant, absolutely good effort, Bristol. There's at least sort of like half a dozen people up there counting everyone on. So we're just waiting now for race number 5 of the quarterfinals. We are going to come off air very briefly while we just reconfigure, and we will see you in a few minutes. Thank you very much. Okay, so apologies, had a few little technical issues as we were coming out there, but we are now with race 5. So we've essentially got 2 races going on. So at the back of the field we have got Ada, who is Lou B. We have got Speedwell, which is Appledore B, and we have got Hope, which is Salcombe A. And then at the front of this race, leading us out at the moment, is the Charlestown crew in Bedhaven. They have the outside berth 6, so the one that we've been seeing that's a bit of an advantage. And then absolutely going toe to toe at the moment, we have got Elowen, which is Falmouth B, and we've got the Manacle Bell crew, which is Newquay A. So Newquay A versus Falmouth B. Looking
what was interesting is the very aggressive coxing from Brett of Newquay. They started off in berth 5, I believe it was, and they very quickly moved over to berth 3, and now they're in berth 2. He got over there as quickly as he could because he knew the advantage of getting that inside line, and obviously Newquay know this course far better than anyone else and know how to cox it far better than anyone else. Plenty of experience in that boat. Charlestown in Bedhaven are just holding on to this lead now. There's probably about half a length of clear water. Falmouth B in Elowen do have the overlap at the moment on Manacle Bell. The bow of Manacle Bell with Newquay is just on the stern of Falmouth. Falmouth are just starting to pull ahead of Newquay. What I imagine Newquay will now do is probably try and get inside of Falmouth. Yep, and that's probably what they're doing across now, move across their rudder to get inside, just to claim any advantage they can on that line if they start to drop right behind. So Charlestown still creeping ahead now. They've now moved that lead to a length ahead. They're starting to relax a bit. Having said that, their number 4 rower has just missed a stroke. But it looks like they've recovered from that really well and they're back on their rhythm.
Yeah, so what we've got absolutely is we've got that Charlestown crew going clear, and I think we can almost see Falmouth now with every stroke just pulling clear. You know, like many clubs, Falmouth was a little bit affected by the rescheduling, so we've seen some slightly sort of mixed crew selection. But so they haven't had. I think Ferg was on the boat with us yesterday, and he said they had about a month to pull. Oh, was it a month? Yeah, they've had not very long to pull this together, but many of those rows are experienced. We were talking about them earlier on, but Charlestown, we're really seeing, you know, they're dominant. I think it's quite interesting to see just like the body positions here, in that the Charlestown crew, quite a few of them are just sort of like looking back at the crew behind them, like they're judging their effort, I think, Charlestown.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they were well clear, but Falmouth have pulled a little bit more back on them. They're just about clear boat length behind now. But like we saw in like previous races, like Charlestown just need to row within themselves. But equally, they don't want to rest on their laurels, especially if these guys behind are racing for that position, because you don't want to have anyone rowing through you on that second leg. But they definitely look in control as they're coming into this one. So they've got clear water. You just see the Cox give a little thumbs up to the umpire boat, and then we've got Falmouth coming in, and then we've got Newquay, and then there's quite a big gap back to Speedwell, Hope and Ada. But let's just see how they go around this mark. You'd like to think that they've got loads of time. They should be, you know, fairly well clear, and should just be able to go around nicely and then get on their way for the second leg. But you know, if they do decide to go a little bit wide, it does leave it a little bit open for this Falmouth Cox to come back at them. So round they go. They've not decided. Oh no, they have tossed. They've gone over. So that Charlestown crew have tossed. Falmouth have decided not to toss, but they are going quite close in. And then Manacle Bell tossed and then tossed back. He's having a few issues with his pins. He's looks like he's changing his pin. Maybe he actually broke a pin or something, but he didn't have any pins in, so he tossed over, realised he didn't have any pins, and then thought I'll pop on back again. And Newquay are taking their time to turn here. So that's an interesting line there from Newquay.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting line because it's not the line they wanted, was it? What they wanted is to be able to toss there. So again, oh God, your heart breaks for them. I think we've all made those sorts of errors in our times as rower. But then if we just look back here, we've got race within a race. We've got the top three racing each other, and then we've got the other three. So we've got Speedwell at the moment. That is Appledore B. They are in 4th position, but they're being held very tight to Salcombe A, Hope. And I'm just looking at Hope's bow fender there because it's just up in the air, which tells me there might have been a little argy-bargy going on. Charlotte, did you notice anything going around the boat? We didn't. No, sorry. We were too busy looking at Newquay's tossing and then not tossing saga that we didn't quite clock what was going in there. But a bow fender raise like that always makes me think that maybe there's been a little bit of argy-bargy. And then we've got the crew in Ada there. That is the crew from Appledore B crew there. Lou, oh sorry, yeah, Lou. Okay, we've got the Lou B crew there in Ada. So they look like they're finding this a little bit tough at the moment. I think there's a few bodies that have gone there in that boat, but they're just they're not really part of this race anymore. So they're just stroking the boat home at the moment. So yeah. They're pretty much stretched out now. I mean, Newquay are still not. I think Newquay is still within a sniff of this, though. They won't want to give up right now. They won't be rowing home thinking about their lunch at the moment. They're thinking about overhauling Falmouth. So we've got Charlestown in the front, in the lead boat, quite clearly. Falmouth B in the 2nd position. They don't look too stressed to me. And then we've got Newquay. They do look like they're under some pressure because they know that if they want to go through to the semi-finals, they need to get into this top 3. What are you making of this, Rhiannon?
Yeah, I don't think Newquay are going to catch them now, if I'm totally honest. I think Falmouth will be rowing within themselves and they'll be keeping an eye on them. Quite often if you're rowing and the cox wants to concentrate on something, they'll actually say to like the stroke rower or the 5 rower, keep an eye on them, let me know if they're coming up, and certainly whether or not we need to do a squeeze. And especially if you're just, processional like this and you're just rowing it in, you just want to be making sure that you're in control. So yeah, the cox might be utilising those rowers just to take a little look back and see how they're getting on, and those rowers are going to want to hold their cool and just make sure they do enough to stay in front. And I think actually they've pulled away. Newquay have dropped back a little bit, so I don't think they're going to challenge them at all down this last bit. Do you?
Yeah, no, I don't see it now. We don't often in gig rowing see quite a distance overhauled quite so much. I think as well, when something goes wrong in the boat, like tossing the oar over and then not being able to row and things like that, the difficulty can be then mindset. It can be resetting a crew. Many years ago, we had a member in the club who was a sports psychologist, and he used to have a few chats with us from time to time, and he talked a lot about what happens when stuff like that goes wrong in rowing, and actually like the importance of, for instance, like fluffing a stroke, catching a crab. Like the response of a crew can quite often be when something's going wrong. Right, okay, I'm going to dig in and I'm going to go for it. And in rowing, that's actually the worst thing you can do, because for a boat to move forwards at optimum speed, what you need is everybody to be putting in a fairly consistent effort. And if you've got one person really digging it in because they're frustrated because something's gone wrong, that can actually cause the boat to wobble, and then essentially it causes the boat to slow. So it's just about the fact that when something goes wrong, you just have to kind of like let that go. And I'm not sure Newquay were rowing with quite a lot of aggression to start off with, and then they've paid the price for that quite possibly over the second line. So what we're beginning to look to now is we're beginning to look to the 6th heat. So I can see the 6th heat lining up, so I'm just going to take you through the runners and riders of that one, so you know who we're going to be watching here. So we have got Swanage A in this round, berth 1 in Amsden, Carradon C, berth 2 in Zorn, Clevedon A, berth 3 in Emma Louise, a second Carradon boat in berth 4, so we've got Carradon A in Grace, and then we've got Porthleven A in Troy, and we've got Caverack A in Spy. So the two crews I'll be looking for in those, and the form book would tell me, is Caverack and Carradon A's in that one, but we'll see. We can see them at the moment. They're not quite gone off, and to be honest, I think now in this heat, in heat 5, what we can see now is that Charlestown and Falmouth are well clear, and Newquay heads have gone down, unfortunately, and they've let Falmouth go out too far now to be able to claw that back. So yeah, that looks pretty set that Falmouth B and Charlestown are going to make it through to the semi-finals. So we're just watching Hope here and Speedwell going around the top mark here. So just a reminder, because we need to remind ourselves, is in Hope we have Salcombe A, and in Hope we have Salcombe A, and then I'm struggling, Ada, is Lou B at the back here, and then the other crew we're watching, there we go, is the blue boat. That was the one I was struggling to see, which is Appledore B in Speedwell. So we're just watching them. We're just watching them coming in now. Lou B, I think they're going to be a bit frustrated, Lou, of their days rowing today. I think they would have hoped to get a crew into the semi-finals. But, I'm sure they'll be sitting on their quay, watching everybody race later on. A little bit frustrated to be there, but equally still enjoying the rowing alongside us. Anything to say, Rhiannon?
No, I think this is quite processional actually now, isn't it? And they've actually spread out quite a bit. I mean, it was from the start, we did say there was 2 different races going on really, but they're definitely all spread out, and it's a little bit like no man's land, which can be tricky. It can be quite tricky when you're rowing, and you've got no one to race around you. So it can be quite hard to keep motivated, but they've just got to row in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I say, we're going to buzz down. We're going to go down to race 6. We're expecting Carradine and Coverack to bring this one, but the form book really hasn't meant much today. So we're just going to wait to see. But it's an absolutely beautiful afternoon now here in Newquay Harbour. It is quite spectacular. Yeah, Rhiannon says she's jealous considering yesterday's. What was it like rowing yesterday afternoon?
Well, I only did 2 races yesterday. Unfortunately, by the time the weather came in, I was up in the bar commiserating.
To be honest, I know you're gutted and you would have liked to have been rowing in the semis and the final, but I think that might have been the best place to be yesterday afternoon, because I can confirm on the gig row boat it wasn't a lot of fun, and it was a little stressful for you.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying a lot about it yesterday, that actually it's really hard to be staying motivated, but also in between, just making sure that you stayed warm. So everyone was there in their dry robes huddled up, and once it started raining, it was really quite hard to stay warm and dry. And you just need to make sure that you don't get cold, and you don't let those muscles get too stiff. You need to keep mobile, and and then just pick yourself up again. When you're actually rowing, you don't really pay attention to the weather, to be honest, but in between it was certainly a bit miserable. And I did feel for some of the spectators as well, because they were out there, especially if you were out on fly sellers, they were out there waiting, and for quite a while there was a big gap, wasn't there? There was about 3 hours or so where there was actually no rowing at all, and lots of people had come up to watch and were just kind of a little bit confused as to what was going on, but I'm glad we managed to get it all done in the end, and it was nice. But it certainly was a little bit of a strange atmosphere yesterday, because obviously when it's nice and sunny weather, everyone's buzzing around the beach, and people are moving around, and it was everyone was kind of keeping themselves and not really sure what was going on. But at least today is a nicer day. It's better for spectators, and the whole time we've been out here, it's looked like it's chopped up, hasn't it? I mean, we've been struggling to stand up on this boat. We've been rolling around a little bit, and it certainly looked quite tricky for those conditions, hasn't it?
It has, and we're currently watching Ryan trying to catch the drone, which is quite something. So Steve, our drone man, is bringing the drone in, and Ryan is very carefully, he's done it. Good work, Ryan. Safe pair of hands there, bringing the drone in just so that we can change the batteries over and get it ready for this 6th heat. We've got a little bit of a wait here, so I think we might just come off air for a few minutes. Is that all right? Yeah, we're just going to come off air for a few minutes just while we're waiting for this final heat to go off. Yeah, we're just a boat missing, so the starters are just waiting for them. So we will be back on air with you very shortly. Thank you. So the 6th quarter-final, we have Swanage A, berth 1 in Amazon, Carridon C, berth 2 in Zorn, Clevedon A, berth 3 in Emma Louise, Carridon A, berth 4 in Grace, Porthleven A, berth 5 in Troy, and Coverack A, berth 6 in Spy. So apologies that we went off air for a little bit there. There was one boat that just needed to come out, needed a little bit more time to come out, which is absolutely fair enough. So yeah, we're just waiting here. 2 Carridon boats in this heat, and they're gone, they're off. Right, okay, so who have we got here? Spy is off the front. They are going really well out of that berth 6, which is the one that we've really seen that has been the best berth that there has been this weekend, and we're really seeing them powering up. So that is the Coverack A crew in Spy. That was very much what we were expecting. We've also got Grace, which is the Carridon A crew. They're kind of moving with them, and if anything, Grace is moving up on them here. So we've kind of got Coverack and Carridon very quickly going into a race of their own. We've got Troy, Porthleven, they're berth 6, closest to us. They're in that sort of difficult position really, where the boat's on the inside. So Amazon, which is Swanage A, Zorn, which is Carridon C, and then Emma Louise, which is Clevedon A. The 3 of them are really neck and neck. So they're very much in a race on the left-hand side of the course. And then we've got Carridon and we've got Coverack. Coverack are slightly up on Carridon, but it feels like Carridon are moving here. They have the momentum. I'm just handing you over to Rhiannon.
Yeah, it does look like they're moving here. It looks like they're going to be having a bit of a pump to get to this first mark. They were typically in the last round rowing a little bit quicker than Coverack. Coverack did look really controlled in that last round, didn't they? But I believe that they both, had a pretty easy row in that first race. So it'd be interesting to see whether they're bothering to push each other. I think if they're clever about it, they'll just both be, they're well gone already. So I would have thought that these two will just be looking to shut down. But it'd be interesting to see which one shuts down first. It's a bit cat and mouse, isn't it, as to who actually, wants to let the other one go in front. But it looks like Grace is well clear now, doesn't it? And they're trying to pump away. I think we're going to be looking definitely at Carridon and being one of the favourites to win, to be winning this final. We've got like the likes of Falmouth, like we say, as well. But Coverack are always up there, aren't they? I think you were talking the other day saying they're always well up there, but never quite getting that top spot. So it'd be interesting to see whether they push that one today or not, won't it?
Yeah, I'd just like to draw your attention actually to Carridon C here in Zorn, because there is a cracking race developing between Carridon C and Swanage A. Carridon C are just doing that slow thing where they're just slowly eking out. Like, I can see quite clearly that Carridon C's rudder was on the 4-rower, it's now on the 3-rower, it's just up to the 2-rower. Carridon are just breaking away from that crew. So, but there we go, they're now Swanage are just holding them. Their stern is staying on that 2-rower. Swanage have gone for a really good push here up this last little bit, and they're actually gaining now on Carridon again. So it's Carridon are going all out here to try and get that inner berth, but they're not quite getting. So I'm just casting my eyes back up, having a look at Carridon A, and Carridon A look like they've made a decisive move there. They've just pulled ahead. And sorry, Rhiannon, do you want to just repeat that for the mic?
Yeah, it looks like they've shut down there. They look a lot more. They just look a bit controlled. They're just kind of rowing and then finishing that stroke in front of them. But they're not looking to do anything special here, I don't think. They're just literally rowing away. They'll be in front, so they'll be wanting to conserve their energy for later. Interestingly, though, that Coverack boat was on the outside of them, wasn't it? And now she's made a definite move to go on the inside. And the question is, is she going to be looking to attack that inside? I mean, they are in second, so I don't really think they need to be, busting themselves to be pushing that top spot, but they're definitely going to want to just keep half an eye on this Carridon C crew, because like Esther was saying just now, they were just inching through the Amazon, but now they are actually clear, and they've got to stay clear of them if they want that mark. Again, really experienced rowers in that Carridon C crew. They're all masters or super vets, and they're just staying in control, slightly slower than we have been seeing in the rest of the men's racing. So interesting. So you got Martin Langdon in there leaning right back. He's getting right back over the seat, isn't he? And he's going to be wanting to stay in front of the Amazon, aren't they? So they're going to definitely want to stay in front of that crew. Who was that in the Amazon crew, did you say?
It is
Swanage A. So it's interesting a C crew against an A crew, but they have actually dropped back probably about half a length now. So Carradine seem to be well clear, and we're coming up to the umpire mark now, and the umpires will be calling it in a second. So Carradine will be going round first, followed by Coverack. Let's see how their turns go. Again, they don't want to be wasting any effort, but they don't want to also be leaving any gaps. So in the last one, Ben did toss. So that's Ben up in the bow of the Carradine boat. He did toss, whether they just wanted to practice that just in case they need to use that later. I don't think the Coverack guys toss, but it'd be interesting to see what they do here for sure. So they're just coming up to the mark now. We'll want to see them go round nice and cleanly. We don't want anyone making any mistakes, do we? So and then they can just row along up that second leg. So Carradine Seeker have done a great job. That Amazon is well behind them. So Ben has tossed going around that Carradine one. So we'll see where the Coverack toss. They've gone really close. They're just lifting up their blades. That 5 row is just holding the buoy, and then now they're looking to row away. So Coverack, interestingly, haven't tossed. They've gone super tight. But now Ben's back in again, and that Carradine boat is rowing away. Coverack just seemed to be taking a little bit longer to turn, so maybe a toss was a good idea there. And then the Carradine Sea Crew have come back up. Now they're going to be wanting to make an attack up on second, but now they've gone round the mark. That is quite a big gap to be trying to make up, but they're still going to want to give it a go, aren't they, to try and get through to the next round. But I do think Coverack are kind of up and clear here.
Yeah, and just to draw attention here, we've got Clevedon A, they're coming around in Emma Louise, and not far behind and not losing contact at all, we have got Porth 11A as well. So, Charlotte, just from a Cox's point of view, what did you make of the sort of the difference there between the line that Carradine achieved tossing and Coverack without the toss?
To be honest, from here, I didn't see much difference. I think Coverack did a very good turn without tossing, and didn't particularly see any advantage that either crew gained with or without tossing. All the turns were very, very tight. All the coxswains went very close to the buoy, clearly trying to get that tight turn as best as possible without losing any ground on the crews ahead of them. The crews we've got at the head of the race were very much in procession mode anyway, so they could take the time to practice their turns and practice their tossing potentially, and it all either way paid off quite well for both crews taking part in that.
I've just had a little message from HQ as well, which they've asked for us to broadcast. We're going to have a little break now until 4:15. I haven't been told the reason why, but I imagine that's something to do with tides. And then we're going to gather to determine, they're saying the quarter-final start time, but I think they mean the semi-final start time, don't they? Yeah, we're on the quarters now, so unless we're completely seasick with our sea legs. I should stress as well, I'm having a look at some of the Osmo, the people that are carrying the cameras for us here, and they're looking pretty damp on the side of the boat, so bless them, they're putting a real good shift in here. And we're also seeing a really good shift from Porth 11 here, because they're on the outside, but they're moving up on this Clevedon boat. So Clevedon in the Emma Louise just on the inside here, Porth 11, they're in the red boat Troy on the outside. So can we see much else that's going on? We think we've got Carradine, Coverack given a clean set of heels. Okay, Rhiannon's saying that Carradine look like they're well clear here, so yeah, they're going to be comfortably through to the semi-finals. And like we say, it's we're looking at it's 1:45 now, so we're just going to have a little break for a while, 4:15, then we're going to be ready to go again for the semis. So we're going to be looking at the final. If the semis is like 4:15, we're going to be looking at the final about 6 o'clock. Would you imagine? Yeah.
Or even earlier, maybe, if they're looking 4:15. I believe we're 2 semis again today, so that should be a little bit quicker than the 3-boat semi that it could have been. So we look like we might not be rowing in the dark, which would be nice to actually be able to see where they're placing their oars, which would be fantastic. So it looks like Carradine are well clear. We're just trying to kind of speed to catch up. They're quite drawn out this heat, so we're just trying to catch up with the people at the front. Interestingly, Carradine A crew, they haven't actually been affected by the crew changes because of the date change. They nearly were, because one of their midship rowers is actually due to have a baby. Not him, but his girlfriend is due to have a baby in the next week or so. So he was playing a dangerous game, making sure he rowed today. So let's hope that there's no movement on the baby front from Ratz's partner. But it'd be great if they can have a really great result and have a good one today.
I think that could be like a gig rower like comment, couldn't it? Like who's how close have you rowed to the birth of your first child? I mean, second child they'd never get away with it, would they? But first, they'd be doing some serious childcare. Oh, we got water coming down on us now. But yeah, no, that is that's quite a commitment, and is I imagine maybe his girlfriend's at home watching us on YouTube now, thinking how quickly are you going to get home? She'll be the only person in Carradon who'd be pleased if they went and fell out in the quarters, I imagine. So yeah, we're just moving up now to this second buoy. But yeah, we've got Carradon and Coverack, clean pair of heels, into the semi-finals. They will be conserving energy now, and we've had a cracking row as well. I think we need to put this into context here. This Carradon Sea Crew, look, I know we don't think that Carradon are we don't think they're going full speed here, but equally for a sea crew to be so close to their A crew is a real credit to the strength and depth in the club, and a brilliant row, especially as the sea crew now, like, they're not close enough to their A crew to challenge them, but they're also not being pushed from behind, so that is always that sort of difficult sort of middle space. And then we've got the Coverack crew here that we're just having a look at in Spy. Yeah, long and strong. So just Rhiannon, talk us through, what do you mean by that?
Well, they just look like they've got a lot of time in the water, so they're kind of reaching forward, placing their blades, driving away, and they're not rushing that back end either. They're just kind of holding their shoulders. They're obviously shut down and just having a nice little row in, so they're not trying to challenge Carradon here at all. Same with Carradon. Carradon are looking a bit, they do look shorter than Coverack. They definitely row a punchier stroke, and they're obviously not rating up now and not challenging themselves at all, but once they start pumping it, they do row generally a shorter stroke than the Coverack crew. So it's just interesting to see the difference in styles, like Esther was saying earlier. There's some clubs that just seem to row a little bit shorter and punchier, and then some. We saw it from the Foy guys earlier, and the Spy looks like it's actually surfing in on this wave quite nicely. The bow is right up out of the water. I mean, surfing's quite good fun when you're in a gig, but getting dug out of that trough is not quite so fun, because it feels like 1 minute you're absolutely flying and the next minute you've really got to dig out of that trough. But the Spy was running really nicely there, and Grace was actually moving on some of these as well. So
that's almost, you're so right, the sort of like almost the technique of rowing, of catching waves. So we talked about it earlier, like that spotting the wave, picking up the speed, really sprinting for that, like 5 to 10, maybe 15 strokes to get your boat speed up to match the speed of the wave to ensure you catch it. But then when you get dumped by the wave and you go down, you kind of have to dig in deep. You have to do that. It's almost like a second start, isn't it? Picking it up from a sort of like solid weight. Would you agree, Charlotte?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did talk about it a little bit in a previous race. This is, rowing at Newquay. This is one of my most favourite legs at Newquay, and getting that opportunity to catch a wave. And Spy with the Coverack crew here just caught a beauty. And by that style of rowing, where they're really holding their bodies, is just going to enable them to stay on that wave for even longer, and then be ready to hit that dead weight when you have to dig it back out the trough again and keep it running. That's the real art of it. When we get the opportunity to practice it in Mounts Bay, that's the art, is staying on the wave for as long as you can and then digging out. So Coverack have now crossed the line in second place in Spy. They've just stopped rowing, and Carradon are just rowing into the harbour in first place. Carradon Sea are just coming up to the finish line now, and that's it. They finished their weekend. Martin Langdon giving his crewmate a pat on the back there, and that's their weekend sewn up. But a fantastic effort from that crew of very experienced rowers, coming in third in that heat. Next up, we have Amazon is Swanage A. So Amazon is Swanage A coming up in fourth place, still rowing really well. This is what I like to see, actually. Even when you know you're out, I like that pride. You're still wearing your club badge, and you're still rowing well across the water, and still rowing with pride and keeping your head held high and respecting the race. Now, Porthleven have done a fantastic job. I will be honest, when I saw them up the first leg, I thought that they were out, but Porthleven have done a fantastic job on that second leg to row through Clevedon A. who are in Emma Louise, and Porthleven have held that position now. So this is what I do like about these events, is you do have a race within a race. Yes, you don't get to go through, but you certainly have something to celebrate when you cross the finish line, which Porthleven will do. They've had a fantastic race against Clevedon, and that's them cross the line, and Clevedon A in any second now will be crossing the line in 6th place.
So, thank you very much. Quarterfinals done. Semi-finals, we will be reconvening at 4:15 to get them going. So, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you in the semis. So, they have turned them on. The aim is to be able to